Hi, my name is David Beaudin, and we are at the Louis Riel House in St. Vital. The Louis Riel Institute was created by an act of parliament between the Manitoba government and the Manitoba Métis Federation in 1995. And the Louis Riel Institute mandate includes culture, heritage, and language, and also an educational component. The Louis Riel Institute has several programs that they currently run, including the MAP program, which is a Master Apprentice program for language development, retention, and preservation in Brandon. We also have Adult Learning Center. We also have a cultural department, which deals a lot with cultural tours throughout the city to some of our important areas, including the Seven Oaks Park in North Main. We also have the Riel House, which we're currently in. We have the Cuthbert Grant's Old Mill, which is up on Portage Avenue past Unicity in that area. And we also run cultural day shops and evening programming. It's important to preserve the Métis culture just for longevity, but also to promote the Métis Nation and give hope to successive generations. It's important that they understand who they are and where they came from, so that they will continue to preserve our way of life and who we are as Métis citizens. Riel's house is his mother's house. This was Marguerite's room. Riel's wife stayed here. And this is her bed. This is the wash basin that I was referring to earlier, and there's an original sash that's on the chair. So here we have a little baby sleeping area here that the parents would hear. This would be closer, and you'd be able to rock this back and forth and rock your child back to sleep. If you notice the length of the beds are not long, so our ancestors were not 6-7 footers. These are just little tiny people that lived here. So it's kind of cute. I like it. I love it. And of course, this is covered, so we don't want the story is that spirits would get trapped inside the mirror in this sense. So they put cloth over them and some of the early beds. And then of course on this side here is a table. So this is not a period table. This is just here, it's just so that we can sit down. Closet to go upstairs. Secondary bedroom. And if you look on the bed, there's a traditional Métis sash. That's the Riel pattern. And if you look over on this side on the wall, there's also a musket rifle. And the Métis were expert marksmen. They could also reload while their horses at a full gallop in the buffalo hunts. And of course, you can still see this another style of the bed. Welcome to the kitchen area of the Louis Riel house. The family home was built over 140 years ago, and so some of the period pots and pans and stove items and meat hooks and cupboards. This was used to dry pastas, from my understanding. I could be wrong on that. On the table, there's some tools to open cans, some period food items. And of course, there's a butter churn. There's a couple of them, a small one and a large one for butter. And it's all tin or cast iron. And so there was no aluminum back in the day. It was mainly tin and cast irons that were used. And of course, the cast iron stove, which after it was heated sufficiently, it would carry heat throughout the house. And they would use to dry their clothes in here, which again that could be this as well. If it's not passive, this could be to also help dry some of the aprons. And so this house is very important to the history of the Métis Nation. This is here again in St. Vital, which at the time was pretty much open country. And you can look around and you can see some of the upscale type of artifacts. There's a wash basin and a jug that is believed to come from China. We have upscale pots and pans and so on. So they were a wealthy Métis family in a sense, but also it's still standing. So to the Métis Nation, it's important that we continue preserving this institution.